Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna talk about $200 tournament in a local casino, which I ended up making to the final table and chopping 7 ways while I was a chip leader, although not by much. Yeah, I'm gonna walk through all the notable hands in the journey. So the tournament starts with 100 big blinds, so there is big blind ante, but it's relatively fast. Blinds increase every 20 minutes. So even at the final table, while building chip leader, I only had like 28 big blinds. So that's another reason just to chop. Um, but first levels play like pretty normally and like deeply. I think it's only like a middle stage of a tournament which starts going like really shallow and we have more of like push fold strategy. So let's get started. So catching a straight, I have king 8 of suit with king of diamonds on hijack. I raised to 800. I didn't get many hands, so I just wanted to play something. I think it's not exactly GTO, um, but it's like probably pretty close. So I think like king 10 of suit would be played. Uh, and a flop is pretty nice. So I get jack 10 of diamonds, which gives me a backdoor flush draw, and I get open-ended straight draw. Even if queen comes, I get like a still good straight. And given that there was no re-raise, I don't worry about ace king all too much. So there are checks. There is a bet 1.6k. There is another call, and I'm getting pretty good pot odds to call. Um, I think I just getting like immediate pot odds even. There is a catch that I might get like straight while somebody gets a flush, so I need to be careful with that. But overall, this kind of draw is still pretty good. Turn is queen, giving me a straight. So there's a check. I bet 6k. Just decide to just go for value and set up all in on the river. Get one call. At this point, I thought I'm probably gonna be splitting with another king. River is 7. I just go all in for 10k or so. But opponent folds. So maybe I was drawing to a flush or had some kind of 2 pair. Um, so yeah, I think this overall is kind of a standard play. Not overplaying the hand too much, just calling by like pot odds. Maybe sometimes you need to call by implied odds as well. And making sure your draw is like decent. If there's been like, although if there's been like 3 diamonds, for example, then I would have a good diamond draw as well. But if I didn't have any diamonds, then like obviously it's like a bad draw which should be folded. Let's get to the next one. A set versus an aggressive opponent. Blinds 200, 300. I have pocket nines on a low jack and raise to 800. This is one caller, an aggressive player, 3 bets to 3.5k. Yeah, he's been pretty aggressive, like 3 betting, I think raising and entering quite a lot of hands. So I don't want to give up just yet. I think I can like still set mine with these stacks and also try to play maybe somewhat a dangerous game out of position and maybe try to outplay him post flop. But I flop my set. There's been one spade, so there's nothing too dangerous on this flop. So I decide to check to the raiser and see what he does. So the caller checks, and 3-better just continuation bets, which I decide to just call, maybe in hopes that he would fire another barrel. Turn is queen of spades. This puts a flush draw, but I still decide to like keep checking and like try to like make him take a shot at the pot. So river is a 6 or so. I continue with my plan to check. He bets like pretty small. The board is really safe for me, so I'm only beaten by like a set of queens, and maybe like some 4-5, which is possible, but like I would say unlikely comparing to other hands. So I think my set is still like probably good, and go all in for 20k or so. So the 3-better thinks for some time and folds, and I increase my stack to like 2.5 of a starting one. Here I 3-betted with a suited ace. I have it on one of the blinds, I think a big blind, ace 9 suited. Aggressive player raises to 1.1k. It's the same aggressive player which I just like took a significant chunk of money from. There's a call. I decide to 3-bet to 4k. It turns out it's not a GTO play. GTO suggests to call, and I think 3-bet with something like ace 5 or ace 4, maybe ace jack suited, or I think maybe ace 10 suited. Or maybe just not ace 10, only ace queen suited, or like ace king suited and aces and whatnot. So Razor goes all in. I'm getting good pot odds, something like 1 to 2. Also, I checked later that against like his likely range, I'm probably not getting those odds, because I don't have that many hands I'm dominating. Although suited cards give me some nice, nice like extra several percent. But let's say against kings, I'm only like 30%. Against ace king and ace queen, I'm like 25%, maybe like slightly more than that because of suited, maybe 27 or so. So I'm not quite getting the odds. So I think, yeah, here's like how mistakes compounded. I still decided to call, thinking I'm like roughly getting the odds. It's probably not that big a mistake at this point, but I think the mistake was that like re-raising pre-flop where I should have just like called. So he had ace king and I lost. Here I played an overpair of jacks, had blinds 300, 500. I have jacks on hijack, it's a raise. I like to start raising with like 3 big blinds while we're still deep. Then once we get like a medium depth, I start raising maybe 2.5, and then like as we get like pretty shallow, I start raising 2 big blinds. That seems like a kind of common trend against like many players. Then like I think big blind calls my raise. Flop 5-4-3, so that's a flop generally really good for a big blind, because I don't have many like 5-4-3 in my range, although I might have some like gut shots with an ace. So big blind decide to lead for 2k, I just call. I think if he got some high equity hand, maybe like, I don't know, 6-5 or something, or set here 5-4, he's probably not gonna like fold. So I may be like already behind, so I don't want to like overplay it too much. And if he just leads with something like, I don't know, 8-5 or whatnot, I wanna her to keep betting, and like you just win more. If it's like a total bluff, maybe with like some ace high, also the same reason I wanna her to keep betting. Turn is 9, big blind checks. I decide to take a stab on it to bet, like, and decide to bet on a smaller side, maybe about 40% of the pot, thinking that if there is like a 5 or 4, it may just like call my bet. River is 10, big blind checks. I bet on small side again, like trying to get a call from some like from some lower card, but I get a fold. And this is a hand where maybe should have bet more, just fold pre-flop, as suggested by GTO blinds 400 to 800. King 7 of suit on hijack. I think I should start with like King 9 of suit. I raise to 1.6k and get 2 callers. Flop is like misses me. Ace 10 deuce, I think. This is a check. I decide to continuation bet on a smaller side. Although I probably should have bet on like a bigger side, because I have some nut advantage here, I think, as well. With like aces, tens, ace 10. Like I think kind of ace king is probably not considered already a nuts, but pretty strong anyways. And I have a range advantage. So yeah, I get a call. Turn the queen. I get to bet small again and get another call. Um, this is probably again I should have bet larger because of all the nut advantage, because like ace queen got there, like queens got there, king jack got there. So, but I bet small, and the river is some like small card, so it checks and I lose to jack 10. I think it was offsuit. So yeah, I think there's a chance if I would just bet larger that this opponent would like fold, but again, like I think, like again, mistakes compounded. I should have folded pre-flop. Next hand, top pair and gut shot, blinds 400, 800. I have ace queen of diamonds in the middle position. Early position raises to like 2.2k. There is like an early position, also player goes all in for remaining 900. I call and there is one more call. I decided to not 3-bet because it's an early position raise. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I think yeah, GTO would suggest a call. Yeah. So flop gives me a top pair and a gut shot. This early position player checks. I'm like my hand quite a lot and decide to bet. So I might like win versus like ace jack or some smaller ace. Although I'm not in a good shape versus ace king or ace 10. Maybe I can get some value from like king queen as well, or like even king jack, who would call with like a second pair plus gut shot. Turn is some low card. Checks. I become like somewhat scared about like what's happening and decided to pot control. River is a jack, giving me a straight. Early position checks. I decide to bet small to like try to get some value from like maybe 2-pair or like some ace again. I think just if I bet large, like especially given there is another player in the pot, also for a small amount, I think it's like it would speak stronger about my hand, and I think like big bet may not be as likely to be called. So I get called and win versus ace jack of like early position player, and that like person with like 900 all in had 10-9. Stack is like 53k or so, which is pretty good. The marginal hand on the button, blind 600 1.2k. I have queen 2 of diamonds. So in GTO world it's like a raise, but here's this cutoff limp. I still decide to like raise. It was like intuitive decision, but then a small blind raises to 6.5k. I decide to call because of good pot odds. So I have like 1 to 3 or so. So only need like 25% equity, which for example versus ace king I have like 33 or so. Versus aces though I have like 15% or so, and I have position, so I decided it's still like worth trying. Flop gives me a very strong trips. Then checks. I decide to check to like just slow play and let the opponent maybe make a delayed continuation bet. Turns a 5 of spade. I think the flop had 1 spade, so it's like offers a draw. Small blind bets 5k. I decide to go all in to try to like get value from like kings, and maybe like to like make the draws pay. So opponent quickly calls. River is an 8 and I win versus pocket aces. Yeah, I think had he bet or larger pre-flop, I would just fold. Maybe like even 8k or some 9k. Yeah, it's probably would be an easy fold for me. So yeah, I think he just like tried to like trap, but then in the end he trapped himself. So then passive play versus ace queen, versus ace queen rather. I have a queen of suit in early position, raised to 3k. That same aggressive player whom I played couple hands with earlier, 3 bets to 9k. I call, and I check that GTO also suggests the call. Flop is king of hearts and like 2 low cards. So I check to the razor. He checks. Turn is a jack, giving me a gut shot. I check. He bets 8k. I'm out of position. I don't have much, so I just decide to fold in the end. I checked even with his some of his bluffs. I'm only getting like a maximum like 25 or 30% equity, so I'm like not in a very good shape. So I could have tried to lead, but again, with this little amount of equity, it could be just that I'm like already beaten. So I'm probably only like beating like ace X suited. Maybe some suited connectors, but again, depending on what were those low cards, which I didn't note. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think I didn't lose much. So yeah, I think lead on a turn could be an option too. But I was afraid that he just like has a lot of combinations that already like beat me. Or like for example, if he has like queens, he would probably call. So it's like, I don't know where I stand. Calling an all-in, blinds 1k, 1.5k. I have ace-7 of suit on big blind. Button goes in for 11k, which is about like, what, 7-ish big blinds. Or some like 8 big blinds. And I call. I think GTO also suggests a call. But here, yeah, it's just like stack is too small. I'm getting like decent pot odds, and opponent may probably like shove pretty wide. So I was actually ahead, but I ended up losing. Calling another all-in. It's a similar situation with similar blinds. Have pocket threes. Again, I think by GTO that's a call. Similar all-in size. That's a flip, which is still pretty good given that there are a lot of like dead money in the pot. But I end up losing that as well. Set, we got almost counterfeited. Blinds 1k, 2k. I have pocket 5s in middle position. It's a bottom of a range I should raise. So I raise it. Big blind calls. Flop gives me a set, and it was pretty rainbow. So it checks. I decide to slow play. Here I'm not honestly I'm not sure if like slow playing has a lot of merit, because it may look like kind of suspicious, or it may like show like medium strength hand, but I think like continuation bets are kind of common, so I might just like bet and like get call even from ace high. If opponent like tries to like call with some like minimum defense frequency. So yeah, turn is 3. Big blind bets like just 4k. Again, I decide to slow play. And hope that he fires another bullet on the river. But river is a jack, which is disaster for me. Probably is like the worst card, because now all the jacks like beat me. But like he checks, I check, and fortunately I win versus ace 6 offsuit. Yeah, that's been a funny hand where I had like 6-2 offsuit on big blind. Button just lost a big pot and went all in for like remaining 16k, which is like 3 big blinds. So here I'm getting like excellent pot odds. So there are like 13k of dead money plus 16k, so 29k, and I need to call 11k. So I'm getting almost like 1 to 3 odds, so I need like what, 27% of equity or so. So I consider that he may like push with almost any 2 cards, and 6-2 of suit would probably have those odds. I think we were approaching the bubble though, so it was like still like felt close. I ended up calling and just gambling on it because just of excellent pot odds. So there's been ace-7, which is, yeah, I got maybe like 33% or so, and I lost. Let's go and flip, or like put my stack at risk. Have eights in middle position, aggressive pusher who like actively like pushed all in, like much more than everybody else on the table. Well, not maybe everybody else combined, but like comparing to the second place, he was all in for 100k. I don't have that big of a stack, only like about 8 or so big blinds, or about 9 big blinds, I think like 43k. Yeah, that's like somewhere in the middle. So that's just too good of a hand to let go, so I just like call. And there's a flip versus ace queen, which I end up winning. So yeah, I almost got eliminated, and I think it was about like bubble time. So had I lost this flip, I wouldn't make it to the final table like I did with its like cheap lead. So yeah, gotta win your flips to get good results at the tournament often. There's another flip. I have pocket sixes in middle position, raised to 10k. Small blind goes all in for like a pretty small stack, about 30k or so. I have an easy call here, and there's a flip versus ace-10 offsuit. It's also been pretty dramatic when like ace arrived on the turn, but I got a straight on the river. I got my stack increased quite a lot. So then calling a bluff. Blinds 3k, 6k. I have king 10 of suit in middle position, raised to 12k. Big blind calls as he would do with a pretty wide range. Flop is not that great for me, 9-4 deuce. So he checks, so it's a good flop for a small blind, so I just like decide to check behind. Maybe my king high is still good. Turn is 4, so again checks. I might be losing to ace high, but I don't know if ace high would fold to a single small bet, so decide to keep checking. River is a king, which I'm pretty happy about. Big blind bets 28k. I just call. Don't see a reason to raise because I'm probably getting called only by hand that beats me. I think 9 would bet already. King can be just with a better kicker for my opponent. And 4 maybe also available. So yeah, I think just a call is reasonable. So big blind max. So I don't even find out what was there. Overall, there's been quite a lot of like just like raises or like walks given to me. Overall, players around the bubble time played like pretty like passively for the most part. And I think just oftentimes there's been many hands which are like raise and fold, or like some raise then call, continuation bet, fold. But at this point, those kind of hands have a big impact on the stack size. So here I think I already had like a bit bigger stack. So blind 6k, 12k. I have pocket 8s on big blind. The same aggressive pusher who just like lost some hand, like goes all in for about like 60k or so. I have an easy call here, probably with like any pair. But he had like 10-10. However, I got lucky catching like 8 on the turn, and he got eliminated. We were already in the money. Stack is 300k. And the last hand for today would be, I had trips. So blinds 10k, 15k. So yeah, like stack is not super deep, about only like 20 to 25 big blinds. I have ace jack of suit on big blind. Early position raises to 45k, and I call. From what I later learned, this like player has been most like a cash player and doesn't play as many tournaments, but he's really good at cash. So I think that's probably why he was raising this like bigger amount. So I just decide to call, and main reason is like it's an early position raise. So if I shove, I'm probably only like forcing some like bottom range to fold, which is like not super big, and I can be against ace king, ace queen, which are probably just gonna call me, and I would be in terrible shape versus those. So I decided to call and see the flop. Flop was really good for me. I just checked to the razor and he continuation bets for like 60k. I decided to play it slowly and like hope to get another bet in. And like just call. Turn checks. After like 7 arrives. In river is a king. Not super great card for me because now I'm beaten by like pocket kings. I'm beaten by like king jack, which can be all like in the range of my opponent. But I don't see how I can just fold this, and I'm still ahead of some like aces, queens, maybe queen jack, like some tens, ace king. So I just decide to go all in myself. Because like I think if my opponent has like a weaker hand, like maybe tens, he would just like check behind, or like queens. But he might like as well call my all in. So he didn't, and I got a 425k stack, and pretty much I think after this hand we just like had a talks to like chop. We chopped 7 ways. I was like a slight chip leader. So overall a really good result for me. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me for today. Thanks everyone for watching and see you next time.